Kast. I am your host, the Mortal Kombat FANTiM, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master, Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thanks, FANTiM, and we'd like to welcome actor and model Daniel Bernhardt, also known in the MK community as Siro. Welcome.
Wonderful. I haven't heard that in a long time.
As far as I know.
Damn.
It's
That is hysterical.
You've got some pictures up there which are definitely international models material.
Yeah,
Daniel
we'll go into it.
I've heard Daniel Bernhardt, martial artist, actor, action actor, stunt actor, model.
So any of our female listeners out there want to look it up. Yeah.
Pretty sure there's some spicy pictures.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you for being here. It's exciting. It took a little bit of a while to get it going, but now I'm very grateful to be on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to plan this episode out for quite a while, so it's cool, and we're excited. Yeah.
Good to get it going finally.
Well, let's kind of just jump into this a little bit. Before, your experience with Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat Conquest, the TV show, were you introduced at all into Mortal Kombat, or was that really your first interaction with the franchise?
Well, I was a model before.
I did say it.
You gotta hear that.
we're gonna live that one up today. Yeah.
Everybody's like, I used to be a model a long time ago, but now it's becoming the joke, of course. No, I was always a huge fan of the Mortal Kombat movies. Larry Kazanoff, the producer, I met way back. So even before Mortal Kombat Conquest, and this is actually a really fun story I think you guys gonna like. When I first came to town, after I was a model, I came to LA, I became an actor. That was in 1993. I was offered to do a movie called Bloodsport 2. Mm-hmm. And I came to town, started to train, and Larry Kazanoff, I was introduced to Larry Kazanoff, and him and I totally hit it off. He was very excited me doing Bloodsport, and he wanted me to do Mortal Kombat the movie. And I want to say, I think it was the first one. Yeah, it was the first one. It was the first Mortal Kombat movie. And he wanted me to play Nick Cage.
Yes.
Cage.
Oh, that's really interesting to hear.
I actually read for it. And it's a really funny story. And I'm just killing myself right now, what I'm going to tell you. It's terrible. I read for the director. And he was very nice. I remember the audition was at Threshold Entertainment at Larry's company. And it was at night. I remember it was at night. And after he took me out to the balcony and he said, "Listen, Daniel, I really like you, but you got to go back to acting class."
Oh, wow. No.
That was totally cool because I really wasn't an actor. That was totally cool. Like today, I appreciated so much what he said to me. He didn't say it in a bad way. I was just not ready at the time. I just came to town. I was a model, like you were saying, living in Paris, doing all the modeling things, Paris, London, New York, fashion shows and all of that, but I never was in acting class. So once I came to LA, I went to acting class. And him saying that, of course, pushed me even harder. So no hard feelings at all. He did me a huge favor. He just said, "It's too early for you. You're very green." And I've never acted before. And I tried this audition and it just didn't work out. And but Larry and I stayed friends. So I did Bloodsport 2. Then I got into the movie business. I went to acting class, became an actor. And then it was like 3 years later, actually, Larry approached me and he said, "Hey, listen, I really want you to do the TV show Mortal Kombat Conquest." And I didn't have to audition. And he offered it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because I already did Bloodsport 2 and 3. Excuse me. And I already had like 4 movies under my belt. So then I was one of the 3 leads in Mortal Kombat Conquest. I was actually the second lead next to Paolo and Cristobal.
So before we actually dive into Mortal Kombat Conquest, then, I mean, you've just sort of mentioned it, and I'm totally going to capitalize on the fact that you model at first. You first started off with architectural design?
Well, I was, in Switzerland, it's kind of like that. In Switzerland, after high school, it's not like in the States where you have like a college, like we don't have that. So most people go they do an apprenticeship. So with 16 after high school, I learned a job, I learned a trade, which was, I was kind of like an architect, but I'm not really the architect. In my world that I was below the architect. I'm the guy who designed all the bathrooms, kitchens. So I was the guy I was a drafter. I would do all the blueprints and design the bathrooms and kitchens. I did it for 4 years till 20, got my diploma, never did it again.
Okay.
That's when and then I went to Paris. I never did it again. But I have my education. I have my degree, and just didn't like it, and just wanted to do something else.
During that time, you also started working with martial arts. So we've heard, and you actually was it that you had your own martial arts school at that time?
Yeah, kinda. It's we were just a bunch of guys. I mean, I started martial arts with 15. Met a guy. I was a soccer player. I was a soccer player my whole childhood. That was my sport. Being Swiss, soccer is the thing. Everybody plays soccer. I was on a team. I wanted to be a professional player, but I didn't realize that I wasn't really good. I wasn't good. I thought I was good, but I wasn't. And never really made it fun. I have two brothers. They actually made it pretty far, but I didn't. But I met a guy who was a martial artist. And at the time, I always watched Bruce Lee movies, and I was a huge fan. And I remember, and he said, hey, you should train with us one day. And I went in, and I started to train, and he showed me some stuff. And I was like, oh, is it like this? And the guy goes, yeah, exactly. So it's just something that came very naturally to me. And I started to train, and I fell in love with martial arts. I got obsessed with martial arts. When you find something in life that's right for you, martial arts was right for me.
Was there a particular style that you were practicing at that time, or was it just kind of?
Yeah, I actually started with Kung Fu in the very beginning. It was all like this Kung Fu, and it was like Tiger Style and Crane and Mantis. And then I watched all the movies. It was amazing. And became the biggest Bruce Lee fan, started to do the nunchucks. And then from that, I went into, then I started to travel then I got more into kicking. I met a guy who was a good kicker, and I realized I'm very tall. I'm 6'3". I learned how to kick, and I realized that I have a gift for kicking, and I was very flexible. And then I started to do that. And then in my 20s, from like 2021 to like 26, 27, I was modeling. I was traveling the world, being a fashion model, living in Paris. They called it the heyday of male modeling, and it was incredible. But now, through that time, wherever I went, when I lived in Paris, I trained with a guy called Valera, who was he did Savate in kickboxing. When I went to Japan, I did Kyokushinkai karate. When I was in New York, I learned how to box. When I came to LA, I did Taekwondo. So over time, wherever I went, I tried to learn something new. And I've done martial arts now basically 40 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Over 40 years. Yeah. Still do it every day. I just trained this morning. Every day.
Any particular style now, or is it you're still kind of incorporating everything that you picked up?
I've trained. I'm a geek. I'm a martial arts geek. So if you come up to me and you say, hey, I know how to do knife fighting, I want to learn how to do knife fighting. We're really into jiu-jitsu right now. We got into judo a lot because of John Wick. I worked on the John Wick movies, and our director, Chad Stahelski, he was really into judo at the time. So we were doing a lot of judo, and now it's more jiu-jitsu. I just started again to do a lot of trapping. I really like trapping. A little Kung Fu, a little trapping, a little Wing Chun. That's what I'm doing a little bit right now. Just every day something new.
So you had your focus on kicking. And as far as I know, during the time where you were in Paris, you were cast to co-star with Jean-Claude Van Damme in something called Looking for Kicks?
Absolutely true, but it wasn't Paris. It was New York.
Ah, okay.
I was living in Paris. I worked a lot in Paris, and I got kind of overexposed. when you work as a model and you start working a lot, I was in all the Vogues and I was on billboards, I was on TV spots, you get overexposed and you have to leave. So my agent sent me to New York. And I remember there was a big recession in America, and it was somewhere around, I want to say it was like 91, maybe 92. And I went to New York, which that was my first time in the States, which was incredible. Loved New York. Started to work in New York. Business wasn't great, but it was just a great experience. I lived between New York and Miami. And then I fell in love with Miami. And then I stayed a lot of time in Miami. But when I was in New York, there was a buddy of mine called me, my buddy Bruce Hulse called me, and he said, "Hey, Daniel," he's like one of the top models in the world. He's still modeling today. He's still working today. It's incredible. He called me up and he goes, "Hey, Bruce Weber is doing a shoot with Jean-Claude Van Damme for Johnny Versace. Do you want to audition?" I said, "Absolutely. I'm a huge Van Damme fan." Went in, auditioned for Bruce Weber. He liked me, got the job. The next day I show up. We were like a bunch of guys. Like we were probably like, I forgot, like 6, 7 models who just had to be around Jean-Claude. And so we all showed up on set. Then he shows up. And I was a huge Van Damme fan. And he was super cool. He comes in, "Hey, guys, what's going on?" And he's so friendly. And I saw Bloodsport. And I was a huge fan of Bloodsport. So, and then he goes, "All right, guys, so what I'm going to do here, we're going to do a little fight scene. Bruce is going to shoot it. Who knows martial arts?" And I go, "Me." And he goes, "Okay, what can you do?" And that was the time when I was 20, I was like 24, 25. I would just go like, pop, leg up like this. Yeah. And I start kicking, hook kicks, and he goes, "I like you. I'll take you last." So all the other guys just got punched and had to fall down. And he let me actually kick him. I did like a spinning kick, and I did some combination. And he goes, "Well, Danny, I want to teach you." And I punch you, you react. And he punches me and he goes, "Is it like this? Wham!" And he goes, "Yeah, have you done this before?" I said, "No, but I like it." And it was just something that just came very natural for me. So we did a little fight scene. Bruce Weber shot it. It came out. It was really funny. And he actually told me at the time, he goes, "I like you. I may call you." And I was all excited. And his producer came up to me and said, "Hey, Daniel, we may have something for you." And I was like, all excited. I was like, oh my God. Of course, nobody called. They were doing actually a movie called Double Impact. They liked the idea that we looked similar, but in the end, he played the double, which is actually much better. But, I thought, you know what? Sometimes in life, I had an epiphany. I was like, I really love this. I got such a kick out of this. The feeling I had when I was fighting for the camera, because I'm not a real fighter. I don't fight in the ring. I'm no champion. I was like, I really love this. And I put myself a little videotape together, came to New York, I went back to Paris, and then I got a phone call. "Hey, you want to do Bloodsport 2? And I hung up the phone. I thought it was bullshit. I hung up the phone. I called back. "Why are you hanging up on me? I'm offering you Bloodsport 2. Sorry. Yeah, that's how it worked with Jean-Claude for the first time.
The whole relationship with Jean-Claude Van Damme is so interesting to me, because the whole time I watched you play Siro, I always saw you as basically an on-screen representation of Jean-Claude Van Damme because of your kicks and your fighting styles, and you still had the accent a little bit, and like so much of it reminded me of Jean-Claude, seeing you in Mortal Kombat Conquest. Yeah. And so it's amazing to hear you play like alongside him, and then also have had auditioned for the Johnny Cage role, which was, originally supposed to be a Jean-Claude Van Damme character in a Jean-Claude Van Damme game. Yeah, like that's amazing to me. Like,
I'm a huge fan of his still today. We're friendly. He calls me once in a while. He still mixes it up. He still thinks I did kickboxer. I'm like, no, I'm the other guy. Bloodsport. I like Jean-Claude very much. He is so talented. He's a very kind guy. He's very nice. I spent a lot of time with him. We did a movie together called Kill 'Em All, where I played opposite him, and I had a fight scene with him. He's a great martial artist. I really have to say, I was a huge fan. I mean, still am, but at the time, I was a huge fan of his. Nobody kicked like him. Still today, my kicks are different than his. Like one thing when I played in Bloodsport 2, when I was the lead, it wasn't the same character. But the one thing that was very important to me is not copy what he does. So like he does the spinning hook kick where he does the belay split, which I would do. That's his kick. Don't copy that. I would do something different. I would do a jumping round. It's different. And our kicking style is very different. He's more like a ballet dancer, and I come more from the Taekwondo background. He has these incredible flexible hips. I mean, it's insane. Even when I worked with him about 4 or 5 years ago, I was just still blown away how his hips are open and incredible. He's something else, that man. He inspired me, you know?
Now, so, but with Bloodsport, I don't remember about the first two. I know on the fourth one you played a different character, but on the first two, weren't you playing Jean-Claude Van Damme's character in those ones? Okay, so it's a completely different character?
Completely different. I remember at the time, the first movie was a character that we were not allowed to use the name.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we had to change the name. And the sequel actually became, it was just a sequel, but not the same character. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. It just wasn't the same character. 2 and 3 was the same character, and then 4 was a different character.
So in Bloodsport 4, you ended up playing a different character, but it's still that Bloodsport franchise, and you're still in the same series. And you had already played the previous character in 2 and 3, and then in 4, all of a sudden you are a cop who didn't take the shot, and you're a completely new character. Was that strange for you to still be in that series, but a completely new person again?
Trust me, I didn't want to do it.
Really?
I tried I tried everything to get out of it. I didn't want to do it because I didn't like the script. I didn't like the people I was working with. I just didn't like anything about it. I didn't like the director. They wanted to make it this really weird artsy movie, and I was like, I'm sorry guys, but that's not Bloodsport. And I tried everything to get out of it. I couldn't. Obviously, I had to do it. My lawyer said, you have to do it. You have a contract. You're bound to do it. But then after that was it. I didn't want to do it. So
really,
I had a choice. I could have, break the contract, but he said I would be sued. I just didn't want to take that chance. Yeah,
right. I was rewatching Bloodsport 4 this morning, and I remember thinking, I was like, this directing is different than
reaction.
The rest of the Bloodsport movies.
So bizarre. It was just so bizarre. It was so bizarre. Sorry, Elvis, but he's the director. He was the director. It's like we were just all like, "What are you doing? You have an amazing opportunity to do this beautiful film, and it's a franchise." And I was actually a better actor by then, so we could have done a really fun movie. And I don't know, it was strange. Anyhow,
is it true that you met your wife during the filming of the Bloodsport movies?
It's true, yeah.
Oh, that's.
I mean, I met her before.
Okay.
Yeah, she was.
So not everything was bad about 4.
Yeah. She played the cop, but I don't remember the characters. I cannot remember.
So let me ask you something. After you took over Jean-Claude Van Damme's main character role in Bloodsport, and not the same character, but the main character, and then you had mentioned that
you can say when you took over the franchise, because that's basically what happened.
That's a good one.
And here, this is a good thing for you too to hear. They just couldn't afford him.
Right?
I'm sure they wanted him. But at that time, Jean-Claude was like a superstar. He really became big. Like Bloodsport was a huge hit. Then Kickboxer came out, and then Double Impact, and he just became huge.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't afford him, and he just couldn't do it. So they were looking for the next guy, and I got the call. Which was funny.
I mean, in my opinion, you were perfect casting for Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think we're very like if you meet us together, if you see us together, we don't look anything alike. But then when I look at him, kind of looks like my brother. Like I have a brother.
Yeah.
Actually, no, but my real brother, looks actually more like Jean-Claude.
That's yeah.
So then I can understand. So then I can understand how. But I mean, he is. Look, it's an honor to be put in that same league with him, and
So after you took over the franchise, and we had mentioned that you had worked with Jean-Claude earlier on that previous thing. You actually got to work with him in Kill 'Em All, and
yes.
So how was that experience? Did he recognize you, and was it like a reconnection, or was it just?
No, 100%. He so from the very beginning, when I did Bloodsport, he always knew about me because we had a mutual friend at the time. So Jean-Claude and I met a couple of times through a mutual friend. We went to parties together, and I hung out with him a couple of times. And just over time, I would always hear, meet, see him. And then finally, about 5 years ago, I was offered to play the bad guy in Kill 'Em All. And my buddy, Peter Malota, who is an old friend of Jean-Claude's, like Peter used to do all the fight coordination for Jean-Claude in second unit and all of that. You know who he is, Peter Malota?
I don't think so, no.
He is the guy in Double Impact who does the crazy kicks with his shoe.
Yeah, okay.
That's him, and he's an amazing martial artist. I mean, he's a better martial artist than me. It's insane how good he is. He's like a high-ranked Taekwondo instructor. High-ranked. Probably like 6th, 7th degree black belt. And Peter heard a lot about me. I heard a lot about Peter. And so finally, him and I met through a friend, and he comes up to me, and he gives me a script, and he goes like this. If you like the part, it's yours.
Nice.
And then Jean-Claude asked him, so who's the bad guy? He goes, Daniel Bernhardt. And he goes, yeah, but he's so tall. And he goes, don't worry about it. We'll make it work. Yeah, it was amazing. He was like we're not like closest friends, but we know each other. And he was very excited. He was very charming. I don't know if you guys ever met Jean-Claude. He's a very charming guy, very nice man. And yeah, we talked about the fights, what he wanted to do with the character, what I should do. He gave me a lot of notes, and it was just a real pleasure. And then we hung out a lot. He took me out for dinner, him and his son, me. It was really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's cool
too. And he calls me once in a while. He calls me, and we talk a little bit, and yeah, it's definitely, I'm very, very grateful. I'm grateful to him that he's around, because if it wasn't for him.
Exactly, yeah.
I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys, So,
right. And, well, around the same time as you actually doing, I think, Bloodsport 4, around then, it was a similar time to when you were doing Mortal Kombat Conquest, which is around 98, 99.
Yeah, 1998 was an amazing year because I did I did Bloodsport 4, which was always good to have a job, even though I was not crazy about the movie. And I met my wife, obviously, and I got Mortal Kombat. And I remember when I got the call from Larry, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I didn't have to read, because at the time I was very nervous about reading. I was already pretty good at the acting, not great, but I was kind of like understanding what I'm doing. And then I got the call. My agent said, yeah, you don't have to read. He didn't want me to read, actually. He pushed for me not reading. And Larry Kazanoff, the same thing. Usually there's some actors who are really good readers, and then there's some actors, they're okay readers, but they get good when they do the job, and that's me. And all I had to do is I had to meet New Line, the exec of New Line, and just had to meet. They just wanted to see me. I met with them. They go, oh, it sounds like you can do the job, and blah, blah, blah. And I got the job, and I flew out to Orlando, and we started Mortal Kombat. And the three elites, it was Paolo Montalban, Cristano Loken, myself, and it was one of the best times I've ever had, I got to tell you.
It sounds like It sounds like you were given. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, sorry. It's the delay again. Go for it. Continue, please.
Yeah, but I want to hear what you said. What do you want to say?
I was just going to say it sounded like you were given a bit of an idea of how are you going to be playing Siro, but I was curious as to what sort of information you were given on the character as you were cast.
Listen, that was so long ago. I just remember because Larry became a really good friend, and I remember Larry was really smart. We had a special action unit, 3 fights per show, great martial art fights. It was actually the first time that I couldn't do all my own fights, because being a lead on a TV show, you are so busy that I couldn't do everything myself. So sometimes they had to use a stunt double from the back just because I was not available. But it was very important to me. I said to Larry, let me do as much as I can. And I probably did 90-95% myself. Just once in a while, they just needed to fill in a stuntman from the back just to because I wasn't around. But it was one of the best times I've ever had. I moved to Orlando. I remember it was called Kissimmee. We shot at the Disney Studios. So every day I went to the Disney Studios and we filmed Mortal Kombat. They built this whole world inside a stage. And I just remember every time I went to the elevator, I heard Mickey Mouse. And it was a fun character for me because it was at the time, what was that other show called with Lorenzo Lamas with the sword?
The Renegade? Or was it Renegade, the motorcycle one? Or
was it a TV show? Or was it Hercules? I forgot what it was. There was some show with a lot of sword fighting. And Xena. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I was like, oh my God, I can let my hair grow. I wore like a tight shirt with the arms cut off. I wore tight pants and leather boots. I mean, I was like, only thing I was missing was a mustache. But it was, yeah, go ahead.
This character, he was a completely original character that, nobody had ever seen before. And we talked previously with Sean Catherine Derrick, one of the main writers for the show, and just how much fun she had writing your character. Did you feel like you really got to make him your own, since, this isn't something that had been canonized and people had expectations? Did you feel like you could do whatever you wanted in that role?
You want to hear the truth?
Yeah.
I mean, I was so new at the time. I was like, okay, what am I doing here? Well, what's happening? And I remember I met her and we talked about it. Larry talked to me a lot about it, but I think they really kind of wanted me to do what I do, who I am, because I was so new at it. Think about it. At that time, I was only acting for 3 years. So by that time, I've done Bloodsport 2, 3, which I was completely green. Then I did a movie called True Vengeance and Perfect Target, which was a little bit like I started to understand what I'm doing. And then I did, before Mortal Kombat, I did a movie called, I did Bloodsport 4 and a movie called G2. And so I did actually 6 films before Mortal Kombat where I kind of felt like, I kind of understanding. It was still new, but so I mean, my character choices were probably more like, let me learn the lines and are there some fun kicks in it? And I was doing the best I could at the time,
Was James Hong in G2 with you? Because I know he was in the Bloodsport movies.
Yeah, he was.
I thought so.
Yeah.
How did it feel seeing him honored? Because recently he was honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I
was very, very happy for him. He's such a legend. And I've done Bloodsport 2, Bloodsport 3, G2.
Yeah.
And I see him once in a while. He is something else, that man.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's like amazing to see him get that kind of recognition after all the things that he's done throughout the years. I mean, he even kind of started Mortal Kombat in a way with his portrayal of the sorcerer in Big Trouble in Little China, or whole character. So anyways, sorry, Yanni, go ahead.
Yeah. So you were basically acting as yourself in a way?
Say one more time. Say?
You were basically sort of giving the character Siro pretty much who you were, from what I understand?
I don't remember. I really don't. Honestly, I don't remember. I really don't remember. That was such a long time ago. But Catherine, they wrote just a great script. I mean, for me, it was always learning dialogue was always really hard for me. It was not easy because I'm Swiss. I spoke English, but I had an accent, and Larry wanted me to work on my accent and to sound more American. I did that. I was working really hard on that. And I've been getting a lot of calls lately and messages that people saw it. It's on HBO Max right now, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen it yet, but Larry and I are still really good friends. We usually meet once a week and have once a month and have lunch. We always meet once a month and have lunch. Oh. And he talked about it. He goes, Daniel, I just watched it again. It's so fun. You are so good in it. It's so hysterical. I can't watch myself. I can't. I really don't. And but I just saw little snippets, and I ran into a girl yesterday who actually played on the TV show, and we were just laughing. We were so young. Think about it, 1998. That's 20 years ago. That's almost a quarter century.
Yeah, that's insane. You're aging us now. Don't do that.
Yeah, please.
Weirdly enough, when Larry told me that he really liked it, and I said, hey, listen, Larry, I've been getting all these messages from fans and everybody loves Mortal Kombat Conquest. I said, why don't you bring the show back?
Yeah.
Bring the show back and bring us back 25 years later, how we look right now.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Isn't that a great idea?
It's such a good idea. You could even take that concept and lead it into the original movies if you wanted to, like have a definite ending, which kind of leads into what happened next with the Mortal Kombat series. Like, and I'm sure Paulo looks the same.
What I remember is I don't think we had an ending. They left it open.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That has been a big thing for me.
Why don't we start right here with you guys, all the fans who will hear this? Why don't we have everybody write to Warner Brothers, write to New Line, write to Larry, and we'll just say, hey, why not bring the show back? I mean, I would love to go back. I told Larry, I would love to go back and do another season of Mortal Kombat, which, by the way, I was shocked that show didn't get picked up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, everybody was. It's unbelievable because your ratings were so good, and you had a good time slot with the wrestling stuff too.
We were shocked, and I'm not sure what the reasons were, but I remember Pamela Anderson had a TV show on at the time, and we had much better ratings than her, and her show got picked up, and ours didn't. So we were like, we literally all were in shock. Mm-hmm. Hey, but then that's life, because if I would have done Mortal Kombat a second and a third season, maybe I couldn't have done Matrix.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's just how life works out. But I'll tell Larry again. I tell him that we spoke, that I did this podcast, and let's just put a petition out there for people want to see Mortal Kombat Conquest 25 years later.
Bring back Conquest.
Let's do it.
Again?
Bring back Conquest.
I think, think about it. It's next year. It's 25 years, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next year it'd be 25 years. So that could be amazing. Come up with an idea of how could we do this?
I mean, the fan base has always been very, very keen on Conquest. At first, purely because it was just more Mortal Kombat content, right? But at the same time, as you mentioned, it was a very fun show. It was full of action. It was very Mortal Kombat. So for it to not have gotten picked up and just dropped like that, it hit a lot of the fans, including ourselves, right? I mean, until this day, I've said on past episodes, I've watched Conquest more times than I can count. I really, really enjoyed it. And
really?
Yeah, I really loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Sorry?
Sorry?
What's your favorite episode?
I'm a bit biased purely because one of my favorite characters is Rain. So the episode where Rain appeared, I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, Rain. Who played Rain?
That was Spitfire. What was his full name?
Spitfire
Brown.
That was Spitfire. You know what? It's so funny. I still train with him. We do jujitsu.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in about a year and a half, but I remember we did jujitsu together. Yeah, he did Rain. I forgot about that. And you know what's so funny too? A very, very good friend of mine was in Mortal Kombat Conquest, JJ Perry.
Yes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That was one of my other favorite episodes with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. So
one of my favorite guys. I love JJ, and you guys heard about JJ, right? What he's doing now. That JJ Perry directed a movie called Day Shift for Netflix. That has Jamie Foxx starring.
Not at all.
I had
wow.
no idea that was his.
I'm thinking this as you tell me right now. Oh wow.
Yeah, JJ Perry. He blew up. He shot it last year. It's going to be out. It just got announced. It has Snoop Dogg is in it. Jamie Foxx. JJ directed it.
Gosh. Yeah, Dave Franco.
This cast is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That movie's going to blow up. That movie's it's going to be amazing. Chad Stahelski was one of the producers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did not realize that this was happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So JJ came out of that. Then obviously one actress got really big out of that. Two actresses.
Kristana Loken herself.
Crazy. Kristana did great. She became the Terminatrix and she was so young at the time.
That's crazy to think of.
She was so young. She was like 19. It was like her first gig, I think. And she did great, and she looked amazing.
She was great in it, yeah.
Yeah, she did. But there's two other girls. I just forgot their names right now. They blew up. They became massive. Superstars.
There was it Jamie Presley?
Jamie Presley, yeah. And she worked with a good friend of mine with Allison Janney on that TV show Mother.
Okay.
And then one more. What's her name? She played my wife in Mortal Kombat Conquest.
Eva Mendes.
Yeah, Eva Mendes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of famous people actually came out of Mortal Kombat Conquest. We talked about Jamie Presley, who was on that TV show Mom, which is actually another friend of mine, Allison Janney, stars in, and Eva Mendes. And it's funny, Eva Mendes, that was her first job, and she played my wife in Mortal Kombat Conquest. It was hysterical.
It's amazing looking back at it, like when you rewatch the episodes, I don't even, all these faces, like Eva Mendes, she looks so familiar watching Conquest, but I never make that association. And same with Jamie Presley, she's superstar status, like My Name is Earl, the Playboy stuff, like everything. And still, when I watch Mortal Kombat Conquest, you guys are all so young that there's like a disconnect for me to think of you guys as these people.
So funny. Yeah, we were all so young and just so many people came out. I mean, Larry really had a gift of finding people. I mean, we can go through it. There's another guy came out of this. Are you guys familiar with John Valera?
Yes, he played Reptile.
Yeah, so John Valera is another good friend of mine who comes out of 8711, and he played Reptile, and he's now one of the top fight coordinators, stunt coordinators, second unit directors, did Aquaman. I mean, the people who came out of that world, it's amazing.
Like even Donnie Maropis, who played Quan Chi, went on to do like 24 and Hidalgo.
I always got along really well. I really, really liked him.
Oh, he's super nice guy.
Very funny guy.
And he's also a very good actor. He's also a very good actor.
Oh, yeah, he's amazing. And then Jeff Meek, I mean, his resume just talks for itself.
Yeah, I never saw him again after Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
Everybody that we've had on has these crazy stories about like, Jeff's talking about hanging out at the Disney nightclubs and stuff after shooting and stuff like that. So
I don't remember that.
Oh no! Don't tell me they didn't invite you.
I wasn't invited. Oh, he is so.
Could have just had a bit too much.
No, but it's actually funny. What happened to me is when I started around that time, I became very, very serious. I was so focused on my work. Like going out to me was literally not a question. And because I was one of the leads in the show, I worked every single day. And I had every day new dialogue, and dialogue was very hard for me. And I had to study. I remember that everybody else had a lot of fun, and I really didn't go out. For me, the work was the most important thing, because remember, I've lived the whole life in Paris, the modeling. I had a lot of fun before. So in my 30s, because Jeff, how old is Jeff? He's more like my age, right? He's older than me, I think.
I think he's a little bit older than you.
Yeah. So for me, I know everybody always went out, and for me, it was just like I was studying. And at the time, I also met my girlfriend, my new girlfriend at the time. And I was just like, it was all about the work.
Yeah.
Because I was already in my mid-30s. Was I?
Yeah, you were. I think it was 32. Is that right?
Or something like that. Yeah, early 30s, So I was at a different part in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time, just real quick, I remember there was an episode, I forgot which episode it was. It might have been episode 9 or something like that, where the whole episode was about me, about my character, about Siro. And I would get pages, 9-page dialogue scene the night before. And I remember at the time, I would be sitting with my girlfriend at home, like pulling my hair at midnight, going like, I can't remember those lines. I can't remember those lines. And she goes, "You'll be okay. You'll know it in the morning." I said, "No, what am I going to do? Oh my God." I'm learning the lines. And I remember it was an episode where my brother showed up.
That's the one with your wife in the show.
With Eva Mendes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was.
Okay. So yeah, I think you're right, because I remember that morning we had this beautiful director, very good director. And he was from Iran. I think he was a very nice guy and a very good director. I went up to him and I said, "Sir, I just have to tell you, and I apologize in advance, I don't know my lines completely. I got them last night." And he goes, "Okay." And I said, "Can I ask for a huge favor?" And he said, "What do you need?" I said, "Would it be okay if you shoot the other guy first? Like, when we do the dialogue, his close-up." So I learned, I had it by that time, maybe by 60%. I learned, and I felt really bad for the other guy, but the other guy was actually a very good actor. I forgot his name right now, but he was a very good actor. And he was good. He could carry me. He was good enough that I could fuck up on my side. I could screw up on my side, and he would still be in it. And I remember it was like this heavy scene between brothers, and I was doing my dialogue, and I had to cry and blah and everything. And then I remember Larry comes up to me and he goes, "You don't cry. In Mortal Kombat, we don't cry." I was like, "But I worked so hard." I don't care. We don't cry.
So where were you when you found out that Mortal Kombat wasn't getting picked up again? In your life, or do you remember where you were when you heard the news even?
Yeah, I remember I was in LA, and I remember it was just disappointing. I was really surprised because everybody loved the show. We had really good ratings and great reviews, and I had such an amazing time. It was probably one of my favorite. There's probably four. And I've done about 100 100 between movies and TV shows, about 100 projects, and that was, and it's in my top 5, I would say. Just the time, the camaraderie we had with all the actors and all the stunt guys who came in, and all the friends, all the guest stars, and I had a beautiful apartment in Kissimmee. It was just really, and it was all about the work, and it was amazing. It was just incredible. You know, it was amazing. I would do it like in a heartbeat. If they would call me and say, do Mortal Kombat, I'd be like, I'm in. I want to do it.
Would you have, I mean, I'm assuming the answer is yes here, but I got to ask anyway. Would you ever be interested in actually portraying your character in terms of motion capture or something for one of the games?
Of course. If they would ask me, I've never been asked.
I mean, the fans love your games, and your character and Taja and Paolo's Kung Lao have always kind of been brought up as, hey, put these characters in the game somehow, you know? And I mean, it's been something that's always requested from the fans because so many fans love Conquest.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, we want Siro, we want Taja, and we want Great Kung Lao, who kind of did just appear. But
I'll check with Larry, because Larry's a good friend, like I said, and I see him all the time. I'll have this conversation. I think the other day we had lunch about a week ago, and he kind of went like,
Yeah, we're here again. What can we make happen?
So do you get recognized at all nowadays for being Siro specifically, or is it for your other roles most of the time?
It's the weirdest thing. Like, sometimes people recognize me for Matrix. Like the other day I was at Ralph's and the guy goes, Agent Johnson. I said, sometimes I usually get recognized for John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat Conquest. There's some hardcore fans.
Oh yeah.
I did a little part on a very big movie that I can't talk about. And the guy who doubled one of the lead actors, when he saw me, he went like this. He literally went like this. You're Siro from Mortal Kombat Conquest. I'm like, you saw me.
That's awesome.
He goes, I was the biggest fan. The biggest fan. So usually it's Bloodsport, Mortal Kombat, Matrix, John Wick. Recently, a lot of people recognize me from a TV show I did called Barry. I did an episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That got a lot of critical acclaim, that episode that Bill Hader directed, and he was so funny. And what else?
Altered Carbon, probably.
Huh?
Garrett Warren, who was one of the stunt coordinators for, I think he worked with you too in one of the movies, but Logan. He was recently on one of, yeah, that's right. He did Logan with you, but he was recently on the show and he was talking about you on Barry and how hilarious your role was on it. And I still got to go back and watch that episode of Barry because
you've never seen it.
So I've watched like the first episode of Barry, but I haven't continued it. So I need to go back and get into it just to see you. 5. Okay. All right. I'm marking that down.
I'm checking that out myself.
The episode got nominated for 7 Grammys. And not Grammys. I was 7 Emmys.
That episode did?
Right. Wow.
Gosh. All right. Yeah, I definitely.
Because of because they can't give it to co-stars because of Bill Hader's genius. Bill Hader was the writer, director, producer, star. He killed it. I loved him so much. He was so amazing. He was unbelievable. Yeah.
Okay, that's on my list then. I'll do that tonight after I finish Bloodsport 4.
Well, if you want to watch the movie that I just did, that I'm actually very proud of, there's a film I did. We did it through COVID. It's a movie called Hell Have No Fury.
Okay.
It's a small movie directed by Jesse Johnson. He did an amazing job. It's an action drama action. I'm playing an SS officer. It's a Second World War movie, and I'm in love with a French. Resistance fighter, and it's incredible. And I've gotten actually in my whole career, I've gotten the best reviews ever, where they actually singled me out saying that Daniel played this part very nice. And I got like a lot of reviews, probably like 30.
Wow. Okay.
I have them all on the sheet.
Okay. So Hell Hath No Fury and Barry season 2, episode 5.
Yeah.
Checking those out. All right. For sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to make my whole family watch it tonight. We're going to have a movie night. So circling back to Mortal Kombat Conquest, I want to talk more about your career after this, after Mortal Kombat Conquest, but I don't want to go there just yet.
The career was over. It was.
Oh, are you serious? You like springboarded into superstardom with the rest of them.
No, that's not like my buddies. My buddies became superstars. I'm doing very well. I'm very grateful how I'm working, but these guys became superstars,
Well, let me ask you something. Do you think, whenever you started doing it, you started incorporating a lot of your martial arts into it? And you mentioned earlier that you had a stunt double that kind of had to stand in for you quite a bit. Yes. But we've seen some of the episodes and you're performing a lot of your own stunts too, it seems, throughout the series.
It's to me very important. And Larry wanted me, because I'm a martial artist, he wanted me to do everything as much as I could. But it just happens because in TV, you just can't. It's a scheduling thing. They would try everything in their power to let me do as much as I can. But once in a while, they had to bring in a stunt double to shoot you from the back or from really far away. But then everything, when it's me, you see when it's me. I do 90% myself, but just once in a while.
So you were doing most of your own stunts, and I think you use a few weapons throughout the show too, if I remember correctly. Have you worked with weapons much at this point in time? Because, like I said, I'm pretty sure you picked up a couple throughout. Yep.
Oh, the nunchucks. He mentioned that earlier.
Well, watch Barry.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
We can see your chucking skills.
It's hysterical. It's a comedy. I'm playing a stoned surfer, ex-martial artist.
Okay.
A stoned surfer. That's the way Garrett Warren described it was a little bit different. But maybe he was describing Barry being the assassin. I thought you were the assassin when he was talking about it.
I don't know. Barry's the assassin. He's there to kill me.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh my God.
And then he tells me, hey, listen, I'm supposed to kill you, but I really don't want to kill you. Can you just please leave town? And I'm going to help you. I'm going to send you money. Can you leave town? I'm like, okay. And then he goes, well, why don't you go pack? And I go pack. I go, okay. He goes, where's your suit? I go, and I go pack. And we walk through my second room. And he comes in. It's the funniest thing. He comes in there. He opens the doors and he goes, oh. And it's kind of like a trophy room with hundreds of trophies and hundreds of medals and posters of martial arts, taekwondo trophies and world champion. And I'm walking through it smoking. And he goes, whose trophies are those? And I'm like, oh. And then I'm packing my suitcase and he goes, so, when, usually when I travel, I was supposed to go to Chicago, and then I use WhatsApp, and not WhatsApp. I use Maps, but at the same time, I'm using the other one. What's it called? The other one, the other app. And it's suddenly just see me go like this. Bam! I'm throwing a sidekick and the fight starts. It's hysterical.
All right, you sold it. Okay. I definitely need to check this out as soon as possible.
So within the Mortal Kombat series, did you have any particular favorite episodes or, favorite scenes that you recall doing or participating in?
Don't remember.
Been a while.
That's okay.
I'm joking. What do I remember? I remember My favorite scenes were always with Taja and Kung Lao. They were always, we always had this banter going on. It was always fun. We were close. And so I remember that was really fun. And I do remember I really loved that episode where my brother was in. I really liked that a lot. Yeah, it was because I really became like an actor. I wanted to, I took acting very seriously, and I really wanted to act. And I studied, I studied really hard. I took it very serious. I worked on my dialect. I worked on my acting. So it was just a fun ride. And then, of course, doing all the fights was like, let me in there, and I'm fighting, and I'm kicking, and I'm punching, and the trailer is great, right?
Oh yeah.
Even opening trailer for Mortal Kombat, you see me jumping and kicking. It was good times. I mean, good times.
So your character in the Mortal Kombat universe was very, I'm going to go with sort of fantasy-esque, but because as you mentioned with the whole leather boots, the tunic and everything, you grow out your hair for it. But you're in this world where you have ninja and all these other characters wearing masks and such and throwing these different types of abilities. Would you have liked to see Siro potentially have any of these sorts of abilities or in this kind of design, or were you happy with the way he was? Yeah.
Superpowers would have been fun, but I remember, look, you know more than I do about the world. What I remember was we were the mortals in the Mortal Kombat universe. So we were immortals. So for me, it was actually fun because then I could really use my martial arts skills. I could use weapons. I could use my kicks. I could use all of that. That was pretty cool. But maybe there's a twist. Maybe for when they bring Mortal Kombat Conquest back, maybe there's a twist.
Oh, there has to be. All of a sudden you guys get an amulet or something and now you're let's turn Siro into a bad guy even, because you've played such great bad guys since your rendition of Mortal Kombat Conquest. What if Siro turns evil? And I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas here.
We gotta get Catherine on the show, and we all just, you don't tell her that we're all on, and then we'll go, hey, here's a pitch.
She would love it. She would.
Entire episode will just be a brainstorming session with everybody.
I know. That'd be like a fake interview,
Right. Yeah. So with Mortal Kombat Conquest, how did this end up affecting your life? Did it have a lot of impact on your career and what you ended up doing next? Or was it just kind of like you closed the chapter on that? Right.
No, you know what? Everybody knew Mortal Kombat, but I think because it only went one season, it kind of didn't really help that much. There's a saying back then, when you do a TV show for 3 to 5 seasons and they can sell it as a bulk, like what they did with Cena and all of those shows and Renegade, and then it becomes really, really successful. So because it was only one season, it kind of came and went away, had a little bit of a cult following. I think I want to say I only did like one movie after that, but then I did Matrix. So Matrix was more like a game changer for me than Mortal Kombat was, because it was just a much, much bigger property and a much bigger movie,
And of course, you didn't just go into the Matrix Reloaded. You actually reprised your role in the latest Matrix Resurrections movie. How was it returning?
I got cut.
I didn't realize that.
Really?
I'm not in it.
See,
I haven't actually seen it yet, so I didn't know.
Yeah,
I saw the beginning of it, and all the agents to me look the same, and so I was like, "Oh, Daniel's gonna be in here, and he's one of the agents." Like again, like that's cool. No, I didn't realize that.
These were new guys. I had a part. I played my character. They brought my character back. Like Lana was very kind. She saw me training at 8711 when she came by to visit Keanu and Chad. She said, "Daniel, I want you back," and I said, "Yeah, I would love to." So we shot. I had a small. It was a small little part, only like a cameo, like an appearance. I came back, had a fight scene with Morpheus, but in the end, unfortunately, the scene got cut. This is what it is. And she was I saw her at the screening, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I had to cut it." It really hurt me, but whatever's best for the movie, they had to make it shorter, I guess. And that was one of the scenes that got cut out. Yeah, it was
That's so interesting. Because, I mean, everywhere online actually says you were in the movie. I've not actually been able to check it out personally to be able to confirm that myself, but hearing it from you, I believe you.
I mean, he's there. It's just, yeah.
Oh, that really sucks.
So sorry.
It's okay.
Well, let's then talk about one of your other big bad guys that you played. One of my favorites was Jaeger in Altered Carbon.
I love that part.
Oh, it was so great.
So
how was it kind of acting in a completely CG environment? I mean, because that was very different from a lot of the other stuff you did. Because it was what?
There was no CG.
Oh, I thought, like a lot of the backgrounds and, the city itself and things like that, they added a lot of CG on top of it.
Just everything I did was all practical. I did the pilot in the beginning, which was all practical. Because I did that. Remember that opening scene in that apartment that was in the studio?
The apartment.
Yes.
And that was a really good scene. Lita brought me on for this, and I actually auditioned for another part, and I didn't get the other part. And then suddenly I get a call, you're playing Jaeger. And I was like, what? And then Jaeger turned out to be a much better part.
Oh, yeah, I think so. What was the original part you
the other part
were trying to get? Joel was fighting like two Russian guys. There was a scene where there were two Russian guys he was fighting. It wasn't in the pilot, I think. And I was supposed to be, he had a little bit of dialogue, but my part turned out great because Lita really liked what I did. And so she wrote me into episode 7. She goes, we want you back. And then it was all about my character and the other guy's character. And it was such a great episode. That was so much fun. It was. I love that series. The first season, I didn't pick up the second season, but the first season was so good.
It was so good. So I was very, very lucky to have that TV show. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that was another good one. That was another good one.
Circling back to Logan, we mentioned that we've had Garrett Warren on here, and during that episode with him, he went into detail about how visceral he liked to go with the movie. Was that reflected in your experience working with him?
100%. That's the word he always used. It's exactly what you said. That word.
Visceral.
I can't even say it properly. Say it one more time.
Visceral.
That's what they always fight. So I don't know if you know that. I don't know if he told you. I'm a big fan of Garrett's. I'm super grateful to him for hiring me for that movie. But the way I was hired, do you know what I first did on the movie?
No.
I was hired as a stunt guy. I played Hugh Jackman's character in all the concepts. So I played because Hugh has a stunt double called Daniel Stevens, who's always his stunt double. Wasn't available, so they were looking for somebody who was similar to Hugh, and they said, hey, check out Daniel. So they called me and I was available, and so I played for about 6 weeks. I did all the concepts for with Garrett and Stephen Brown. We did all the fights. I played Wolverine. I did the whole thing with the rah. It was amazing. It was so cool. I played Wolverine, but only in the concepts. And then the director because now the director had to approve all the concepts. So he just saw me constantly playing Wolverine. And he goes, I like this guy. And so he gave me a part in the movie. He let me play Bonebreaker.
Yeah. Wow.
He let me play Bonebreaker. And then I worked on the movie with Garrett for the whole time. That was another really, really strong experience because there were a lot of guys all working together. It was a lot of fun.
So talking about your stunt work, you ended up playing in the whole John Wick universe several times, which I think is really cool. And for those of our listeners who don't really realize this, John Wick is basically a movie made by stuntmen and, added, given a consistent story to it. So you got to play in John Wick,
Atomic Blonde, which is kind of loosely related, and Nobody, which they're all, their own separate movies, but they have a lot of tie-ins with them, and they all are basically the same cinematic universe is what a lot of people like to put them together.
No
as.
idea.
So, what was that?
You never seen him?
No, I didn't know they were the same universe, but it didn't click, I suppose.
Yeah, same. You're 100. You did your homework. 100% right. It's like John Wick was directed by Chad Stahelski and David Leitch. Mm-hmm. Atomic Blonde was directed by David Leitch, and then Chad went on to do John Wick 2 at the same time. They were doing it at the same time. Nobody was produced by David Leitch, but directed by somebody else. Yeah, so they're very much in the same world.
How did it feel playing 3 different characters in the John Wick universe?
I played Kirill in the first one, which is like a real character, and it was so much fun playing that character. And I remember when they called me, Chad Stahelski called me up and he goes, "How do you feel about playing Kirill?" I'm like, yes. Do I have to pay you or so? And then in John Wick 2, he brought me in to do something else, but the scene in the end got kind of cut. There was like a big scene, but you still see me in the movie. If you really pay attention, there's one shot where I'm in it.
Is it the same character, or you're somebody else by that point, aren't you?
I just played the stunt guy.
Okay.
I just played a hitman.
Gotcha.
They changed my hair. They put glasses on me, so you wouldn't really recognize me. And then in John Wick 3, I played one of the ghost soldiers, so I had a mask on. Mm-hmm. If you watch the movie, I'm actually doing it's like, you remember when the Continental got raided and these soldiers come in? So I was one of the 3 leaders of the soldiers.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah. I didn't know you were in the other 2.
Yeah, I do the fight scene with Keanu in the pool, when we go into slow motion in the pool.
Yes. Oh, that was you?
That was me, yeah. And, Chad is a very good friend of mine and always invites me to come work with him because we're old friends. Because we go all the way back to Bloodsport 2.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. Good
he
point.
He was one of the fighters. He did my best fight in Bloodsport 2. He was the guy with the long hair. He did an amazing. If you watch it again, we did this amazing trapping fight and kicking fight. So Chad, and he actually offered me Bloodsport 4, and unfortunately I couldn't do it. I was doing another movie. I was not available. I
was like, So you've had some pretty awesome roles in a lot of prominent movies. I'm going to be very unfair here and ask you, would you have any favorite roles in any of those movies? Or just
it is not unfair.
Sometimes people don't like picking. So what would you say your favorite roles were then?
Here are my favorite roles. And I tell you the reason why. Bloodsport 2, Alex Cardo, because it was my first movie. It was, I don't know what was happening. I was like, what is going on? It was incredible. That was one of my favorite experiences. Siro, Mortal Kombat Conquest. It was just such an incredible time in my life because being on a TV show, things are starting to happen. I was working, that was unbelievable. Agent Johnson, Matrix Reloaded. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Insane. Kirill in John Wick. Unbelievable. And then, I love playing the soldier in Atomic Blonde, but it was a smaller part. And then, of course, Jäger in...
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, you guys haven't seen it, but I played this really fun character called Van Bruckner. Van Bruckner. An SS officer in Hell Hath No Fury.
Cool. That's cool. What about the various stunts and stuff that you've done?
I forgot Barry.
Yes.
Yes.
Barry. The high surfer martial artist. So do you have any favorite stunts that you performed, or any amazing stunt stories that you like to tell us?
I did a movie called Parker with Jason Statham. And I had to the director asked me, he said, I really like you, but I want you to do all your own stunts. I said, absolutely. You're going out a window. I said, yeah, I'll do it. The 30th floor. So that was one of my favorite stunts. Descender, 300-foot descender.
Uh-huh.
And I did it. That was my favorite.
Did you, how'd they land you? Did they have a mat under it, or was it just straight, just the descender?
It's concrete, but you're on a descender, you're on a wire. But it's it's a controlled free fall.
Uh-huh.
Where you're not going your normal speed, you're just maybe 10% off. You control.
Gosh.
But if something goes wrong, then it's not good, of course. But that was one of my favorite stunts, because that was a real stunt.
That's a pretty high intensity sort of, stunt. I mean, do you have any plans on slowing down with these kind of stunts, or are you going to continue going with these physical roles for as long as you can?
I'll be 57 this year. I'm 56 right now. I'll be 57. I feel great. I always do my own fights, but if there's a big stunt now, like if I have to get pulled into a wall through a car, I let somebody else do it. It's just not smart. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because the body, I much rather just play great characters. All of this I do myself. I still want to kick. I still want to punch. I still do a flip and fall. I do all of that. But if it's something that's too dangerous, I don't even have a choice. They won't let me do it.
Yeah.
Coordinator will say, "Are you crazy?" Absolutely not. What if you get hurt? But back then I was allowed to do it. Going down the wire. David Leitch was the second unit director, so that's why he let me do it.
God. So for all of the aspiring actors and aspiring stuntmen that listen to our podcast, do you have any advice for them? Anybody who wants to go on the same path as you do? Or
I get this question a lot. And what I always tell people is you just have to you have to have a very strong mind. If you want to do it, it will happen. But you cannot be the guy who goes, well, I really want to do this, but you don't do anything for it. So if you want to be a stuntman, or you want to be a stunt actor, or you want to be an actor, well, what do you got to do? You got to go to acting class. You got to go to stunt school. You got to learn gymnastics. You got to learn martial arts. I got my break because I was at the right time, at the right place, and I had the right things. I had a certain look. I was a martial artist. I just happened to be similar vibe like Van Damme, being European. That's how I got my break. But if I wouldn't have been a good martial artist at the time, I probably wouldn't have gotten the chance, Acting, they were kind of like, it's okay. But I was an expert at the martial arts.
So you've mentioned some projects that, you've mentioned, for example, Hell Hath No Fury, that you're proud of, obviously, that you'd like people to check out. Do you have any other projects that you're working on that you're able to talk about?
I did a couple of films. So I just came off a movie called Extraction 2. Which is a massive Netflix franchise. So I play a really nice character in that one. My buddy Sam Hargrave directed it. It's going to be incredible. Chris Hemsworth is starring. So it was a pleasure working next to such a stud. He made me feel like tiny. I was like, damn, that's a manly man. He's like 6'4", 225 pounds, built like a brick house. I'm like, damn. What the I was like, damn. That's a movie I did. I have another movie coming out called Lou, where I was the fight coordinator and I play a little part in it, starring Allison Janney. So that was really interesting. And I'm just always looking for the next. I'm always like, this is done. What's next? Always looking for that thing.
Do you have any dream projects or like something that you've always wanted to be a part of that you haven't had the chance to yet?
Yeah, I would really like to work on a James Bond movie.
Oh, yeah.
I always wanted like if I could play like a part I had in John Wick on a James Bond movie, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I've never worked with Tom Cruise. That's kind of like, or Mission Impossible. That'd be kind of really fun. Do a fight scene with Tom Cruise. That'd be kind of cool. Actually, a buddy of mine did a fight scene with him, and he actually said he's really good. He said,
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was, what's that franchise? Reacher. I think it was in Reacher. It was a fight scene in a bathroom and in a bathtub. And one of my buddies was one of the stunt guys. And he told me, like, Tom Cruise was just amazing. He sat him down for like 2 hours talking about acting. And so I just respect him a lot as an actor, and he does a lot of his own stunts. So I think him and I would do a really cool fight scene.
I think there's one project you're missing in that answer, though. I think it's season 2 to Mortal Kombat Conquest, right?
Well, we talked so much about that already, so I don't have to.
So normally we ask our guests, what is your favorite Mortal Kombat finisher? But I'm not sure.
Does that mean? What do you mean?
Yes.
Finisher?
So the finisher in Mortal Kombat is, well, a fatality. I think the best thing to do here is to revert everybody back to that episode of Conquest where Tomas gets his face melted off by Reptile. That would be a fatality.
I don't remember that.
Oh.
I don't remember that. Really?
Yeah. It was pretty intense. And that's the guy that Taja falls in love with.
That was a heartbreaking episode.
Yeah.
What did he do? Melt his face off?
He spat acid in his face, which melted his face. But I think he saved either you or Taja, if I remember correctly, or Kung Lao. Can't remember.
I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
No, it's cool.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah.
So, where can our listeners find you?
Do you want my address?
Sure.
Oh, like your web address, your website, or Twitter. I mean,
I live on. That's so funny. I'm not the greatest on social media, but what I do, the only thing I do is actually Instagram, because it's photos and I like that. So I have an Instagram. It's The Real Daniel Bernhardt. And
okay.
people can check me out. Yeah.
Cool. We'll definitely send them there. So at this point, Daniel, we would like to thank you so much for joining us today on the episode. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the Realm Kast today.
Thank you so much for joining.
My pleasure. I'm glad it all worked out.
And we'd like to thank all of our listeners for stopping by on the Realm Kast today. You can find Yanni and myself, FANTiM, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, as well as Yanni on the Mortal Kombat meme realm. Special thanks to Uppercut Editions for the continued support. The Realm Kast is the official podcast of Mortal Kombat Online. You can catch up on all episodes of the Realm Kast on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, and MortalKombatOnline.com.
Siro, your face.
Your face.